Hey guys, welcome to Spoilers. My name is Join Sepulveda, and this is my 1970 Buick Skylark Custom. My Skylark is the first car I've ever owned, and while it takes a lot to maintain, I haven't had any ounce of buyer's remorse with it. It's powered by an SBC 350 engine, also known as a small block Chevy for some of you people that don't know muscle cars, and it makes around 300 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. And even though I've never actually gotten it dynoed, that's what the guy said before me. I tried to find the serial numbers on my engine block, but they're actually ground off, so there's a good chance that this engine was probably stolen at some point. That's actually true. I looked where like the serial number was supposed to be. It's just gone. I first got interested in the cars about the summer of 2018. And before that, I was one of those people that said, whenever someone said, oh, what kind of car do you want? I'd be saying, oh, you know, something that runs, that sort of thing. But then, one day, I was coming out of martial arts, you know, do karate. You're the only one with the devil of a butt! I was coming out of karate around the summer of 2017. And my parents showed up in this blue car, this blue muscle car. And there it was, just waiting for me. The paint job was bad. The chrome was kind of rusted up in some places. The tires were gross, the car wasn't kept clean, the engine bay was disgusting, but that sound is what hooked me. So my dad let me drive it all the way home, because I already had my license at this point. My dad let me drive it all the way home, and from that moment, I was hooked on this kind of car. It was at that moment that I decided that this was the car that I wanted to get. Problem is, I was broke. Okay, I had no money. I was starting to work as a martial arts instructor, but you know, it was gonna take a while before I earned that kind of money. So I started putting the idea out of my head. I was going back to the idea that I would just get the first thing that ran. Fast forward to when I graduated high school and I still didn't have a car. I didn't necessarily need one at this point so much as I wanted one. You know, I had the money, I decided to pull the trigger. I want to buy a car. The guy that was selling the Skylark said it was still for sale. He was a family friend and he was continuing to let my dad know. Basically, he'd done a bunch of little mods, stuff like that. You know, he switched to 3-point harnesses for the seat belts. He'd fixed the brakes. The horn finally worked, stuff like that. And basically, the car was way better. The throttle response was better. He'd gotten the car better tuned, that kind of stuff. So I decided that I was going to purchase it. Luckily, my dad realized he kind of wanted the car too. So, like with the rest of the kids, he said that we could split the cost. So combined, the car cost us around $6,500 to $7,000, which is honestly a really great price, especially for a car this old and this well put together. I knew this car wasn't going to be just an everyday car that I would drive around till it died and then I would sell it. No, I knew that this car was meant to be a collector's item. It had been passed around from owner to owner, and I decided that I wanted to be the person that is stuck with. So, what do you do when your grandfather owns a paint shop and a body shop? You go over to the paint shop and body shop and you do it yourself and save yourself a ton of money. Except for paint. Paint's expensive. God. So that summer, I went to work. The car had a lot it needed to get done. Once I took off the bumpers, I realized there was rust in a lot of parts of the body. You know, it wasn't enough that it was starting to affect it, but it was enough that I needed to take care of it pretty fast. I actually remember one time, the rear bumper, right over there, I took it off and most of it was just red. So it must have spent like 3 days with a wire brush, just straight up just scrubbing and trying to get it off. My arms looked great. By the way, never eat rust. That tastes horrible. So don't eat rust. It's horrible for you and it tastes bad. So, I actually remember one time, my grandfather's got a sick sense of humor and it's hilarious, but also kind of terrifying at the same time. I remember I was taking off the front bumper and, you know, I didn't have any common sense when it came to cars. No, that takes experience, and my idiot self has no concept of, you know, self-preservation. So I was taking off the front bumper, right? And then I see him, and then my grandfather is about to tell me, no, I'm taking off the front bumper, and one of the shop workers walks up to me, and before he can say anything, my grandfather pulls him back and just shakes his head. And of course I think, like, that's kind of weird. all right, who cares? And then I start loosening it, and all of a sudden, the bumper creaks downwards, and I realize I have like 2 seconds before this 30-pound bumper hits me in the legs. So I kick myself out of the way, and the bumper smacks into the ground. I'm lucky it didn't bend. And I turn around, and my grandfather's just laughing. Laughing. He thought it was funny that I was gonna drop the bumper on my legs. And he walks up to me, still laughing, and he says, "Mijo, now you know to use a jack." He says, "Mijo, now you know to use a jack." That's how my grandpa talks. Alright, so after I finally stripped it down, cleaned off all the rust, it was time to get started on the bodywork. There were dents everywhere. So, we stripped what was left of the paint. We used Bondo to fill in some of the bigger dents. For those of you that don't know, Bondo is like a weird creamy substance that it's kind of like plaster. And you put it over like the big dents, and then you sand it, and it just flushes with the rest of the body. It also cracks if you heat it up. So it also cracks if you bend your car around too much. So don't use too much Bondo. Just use enough to fix the dents and holes. Yeah. For the paint job, we decided to kind of match the interior. So the interior was gray and red, right? And the guy that had it before me, he'd finished all of that. He just didn't have enough money to do the body work and the paint job. So I decided to keep going with this color scheme. So as you can see, we ended up with a nice silverish gray with 2 stripes going down the middle. It was actually my dad's idea to connect them in the front to really accentuate the front part of the car. And it was my grandfather's idea to not do any on top. That way you can get the stripes punching through the middle of the car. And honestly, it could not have come out better. Also, we designed it in Forza 2.
Wow.
Those games are really useful if you want to design a paint job. So just saying, giving you guys some tips. By the way, my grandfather's shop is called Sepulveda's Truck Painting. So if any of you semi-truck drivers need like a paint job, that's the place to go. He's the best at what he does. He's the best at what he does. So yeah. By the time I started college, there was not that much left to be done, but I had to go to college. So my grandfather, he told me that he would finish off the rest of it. And, it was a shame. I wanted to help with the actual paint job, but, I got to go get my education. That's working out. I'm crying. College is horrible. Then comes around September, and I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to finish up the car. So when I got off the train to Stockton, I had a surprise waiting there for me. My dad, the day before, he'd gone, and he picked up the car, and, everything was on it. The marker lights I actually had to put on myself later. Almost everything was on it. The paint job was done. Everything was done. It looked perfect. And I remember walking up the train, and I just hear this loud engine sound just telling me to get in the car. So I get out. I see him. He didn't say anything. He just throws the keys to me. I catch him. I start up the car, and then we take off. It was the first time I'd gunned the engine in around 3 months, and I'd forgotten how much fun it was. Now that the body work was finished, it was finally time to get started on, the little bits that every single car person gets really interested and excited about. Modding. Now, obviously, I'm a college student. I don't have a lot of money, so I started with some basic aero kind of stuff and maybe a little exhaust kind of stuff. So what I did was I picked up a spoiler from the Parts Place Incorporated, and I went back to the shop, painted it up, mounted it on. That took about a day, 2 days. And then I decided to get my mufflers deleted. And I know it's immature, but I'm 19 years old. Get over it. I don't care. I have a few more plans for the car. Like, honestly, I have a few more things that I want to do with the car. Me and my buddy Logan and a couple other people, we're going to try, over the next couple years, we're going to try to rebuild a 454 engine. We're going to be, just basically tuning up the car. That said, I don't want to be the guy that's got a lot of sound with no power. So what we're doing over here on the Spoilers channel is, along with vlogging and, that kind of stuff, me, Logan, and a couple other people, including my dad probably, are going to be working on building a 454 block. A race block for my car so we can take it to the drag strip. We're trying to make our own little team. Nothing big, just like we want a fast car and we want people to know we got a fast car. Thanks again for watching. We really appreciate it. Make sure you click that subscribe button, click the like button. It brings us to the page of other car enthusiasts, that kind of stuff. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you want to follow us on our Instagrams, you can find that right here. Our YouTube, it's down there. Should be in the video, the description that you're watching. If not, then I think your computer's broken. So yeah. Adios.